Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Training Talks with Steven and Jacob. I'm Jacob, this is Steven, and we are in the new TNS studio.
What will be.
Yeah, it's still in progress. If you can see behind us, we've got a...
No way.
we got a brick wall. Whoa, dude, there's a spider coming down. Okay, this is why this place is still in progress.
So listen, you posted a video on macronutrients the other day, how to calculate macronutrients. If you guys don't or haven't seen that, video listeners, he can post it somewhere.
We'll link you to the page, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the bio. I had to make a streamlined way to figure it out. So, we take care of the most important, then we work our way down the chain. So I tried to break it down pretty simple. Obviously, there's people who disagree with how I do things, but guess what? You probably haven't coached a lot of people. Just being honest. I mean, it's
true.
They don't. The people who disagree are usually keyboard warriors. But
anyways, so I was interested in this question. This was a question I got from one of my folks over here at Sportless, and it's a very. I know that me and you are going to dive deep. Are carbs necessary in muscle building? I actually floated this question on to one of my coaches, Alex Viata, who posted a very in-depth 4-minute long story. He kind of subjects, I don't want to say keto, but he's a very, he doesn't really necessarily believe in carbs being a benefit in a lot of things. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that.
I'd say necessary is a strong word, right? Because it's not necessary to utilize glycogen as your main source of replenishment. Because when you're running on ketones, it's a pretty efficient fuel source, other than the possible kidney taxing that it might do to you. Ketone conversion is not an easy process. It's not necessary, no, because a caloric surplus, you're going to reroute, your nutrient distribution as needed for whatever stimulus is being placed on you. But optimal is the word that we're probably going to want to use here. Okay. Are carbs optimal for muscle building? Absolutely. Absolutely. They are more so than just energy replenishment and using glycogen from your liver and your muscles. They play such a fundamental role in sparing the amino acid profile in your bloodstream. So it's called protein sparing. If you have enough glycogen present to help with that regeneration of tissue and shuttle amino acids, you're not going to convert that protein to carbohydrates, because that happens more often than people want to believe. Overconsumption of protein does lead to carbohydrate conversion. It's gluconeogenesis. So, yes, they're very important. They're very important for energy. They're optimal. And, I don't have the studies on hand, but I can just use a personal testimonial. Have you ever seen a pro bodybuilder who's keto? Like a high-level IFBB pro? Probably not. And I know they're on lots of drugs and, insulin and stuff like that.
Aren't keto.
Yeah. So just think about that a little bit. If that is your number one goal, then consider carbs. If you have some other reasoning for not wanting to include them, you can still build muscle, and you're probably still going to build a lot of muscle, but...
So, also, let's just elaborate on, you said an overconsumption of protein can lead to
conversion
to carbs.
Yeah.
Most people, in most cases, are not taking enough protein. Would you agree with that? I kind of...
Yeah.
What I've found is I have trouble getting people to meet a protein goal.
Yeah, there's the happy balance, because I found that, general people, the population that you work with, they're not getting enough protein in their diet for recovery.
Or calories, for that matter.
The people that come in here are more often than not, who are, higher level, in the gym every day, you're over-consuming protein. It's not as important as you think, Use some of that protein for carbohydrates. You're going to save some money and probably have a lot more energy.
And a lot of endurance athletes are actually going towards more of a keto-type diet in their training. Now, when they get into an actual event, they want a surplus of glycogen. The glycogen benefits usually help, 1, in recovery, 2, in that final, if, let's say you're racing and you have a final all-out sprint, usually somebody with better glycogen storage ends up pulling that one out. Well, I feel better with carbs in endurance events. And actually, I have a picture of right before my 55K where I was eating literally just a bag of noodles. Mm-hmm. I feel so much better on carbs. And I would say I have a heavy carb diet anyways.
Right. I view the energy systems in the body as like a car, like having multiple engines. So like, there's supercars that have like 3 engines in them, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how our 3 energy systems run in the body. We turn them on when they're needed, when the power is required, like that like you were saying, that final sprint. So, like the PC, the phosphocreatine system, the lactate system where carbs are really a big deal. And then the aerobic system is more of a long oxygen dependent. Your body, if you have a higher percentage of glycogen, more carbohydrates in your system, that engine's going to kick on and start pushing power, whereas the PC and the aerobic system aren't going to have to implement as much. So
it's also where creatine comes into play.
Power production is going to be dependent on that. And so if you're wanting your best speed, consume carbs.
Right. So if you're looking for the best performance possible, carbs are important. Is it necessary? Yes and no. Very broad, but that was a good question. I thought that was a very good question. It actually got me researching some things, and that's the kind of questions I like. I want to grow as well. So my growth is your growth, is his growth, is everybody's growth. This next question you got at the counter, and I was standing in here not working. I was just drinking an energy drink. But best exercises to build hamstrings, and we can elaborate on that some. So we can go size, we can go strength, we can go...
Yeah, I mean... I think we both agree on that glute ham raises are probably the best power and strength developer for hamstrings, and that's just based on not only the research but practical experience too. I mean, athletes in a sports setting, that's explosive. The concentric portion of that movement is very explosive. The eccentric is controlled. So, I mean, it's a good movement for hypertrophy and for strength. My personal favorite that I use a lot. Romanian deadlifts I like a lot. But that's just my alternative to doing conventional deadlifts when I'm doing a squat day, because they both require a lot of energy on my end. So I just use those. And then obviously lying hamstring curl, seated hamstring curl, hypertrophy, contraction, yada yada yada. They're all beneficial.
I'm with you on that. The best thing for hamstrings is to not get too fancy with it.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as doing a step up on a box, but that's more of a compound. But if you're isolating, a GHD or a glute ham developer is by far the best. My people at Sportless get sick of them because we either do a GHD back extension, which is less of the hamstring curl but more of the hip activation, or the GHD just in general, where you're actually curling all the way up, almost like a hamstring curl. We do at least one day a week of each of those, so they get sick of those.
Yeah, so I mean, the more basic, the more simple, the better. Stop adding bands to shit, man. Like this, their bands they have their place, but if you're doing some kind of fancy movement for hamstrings or butt that you see on Instagram or whatever your favorite celebrity's doing, there's not much potential for overload there. They didn't do that to get to where they are. Just realize that simplicity is key with any of this stuff.
There's not much in life that we do where we isolate hamstrings. Not like a bicep. Like you can pick something up right here, and I just isolated my bicep. Yeah. Very little do we do with our hamstrings where we isolate them. Mm-hmm. So a little isolation a couple times a week, and boom, your hamstrings are either going to grow, get stronger, or both.
Yeah, I hope both.
And if you are looking for more of like an explosive, let's say like a sprinter type thing, I'm sorry, but you just got to sprint.
Yeah.
Maybe even do some hypertrophy and then follow up with something explosive. I'm always a proponent of wearing a muscle out and then forcing it to explode. Mm-hmm. That's just causing adaptations.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's specific to what you're doing. If you're a sprinter, you're not going to go do seated hamstring curls and expect your sprint to get better. You're going to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can as an accessory, but
it's more of a prehab type thing.
Make sure your number one bread and butter is taken care of.
This next one, there was a video that Sorenix, the owner of Sorenix, Bert, posted, where he was doing just a standard back squat, kind of a lighter weight back squat, but he had a little thin mat underneath his toes, and he was, kind of keeping his heels off the ground as he was doing his back squat. He kind of mentioned that it helped a lot of his knee pain. It was just a mix-up of the traditional back squat, and I had somebody over here ask me how I felt about that. First, I'm going to ask you how you felt about that, and then I'll kind of talk about mine. But doing back squats on your toes, as opposed to the standard where people say, hey, back on your heels. Have you ever tried? Have you ever?
No, I mean, like he actually squats down into the hole on his toe, like he's
with the
balancing.
bulk of his weight on his toes. Yeah.
Okay, but he's still planted on the ground
for the most part. When he got to the bottom, his heels might touch the ground, and I am talking small, a small little.
Okay.
Maybe his toes are up a little bit.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I would advise it. From an activation standpoint, your quadriceps are probably going to receive more of the bulk of it because of you're leaning forward. You're placing most of gravity's force towards your quadriceps, the extension portion of the movement. So it's probably going to work more of that. But like at that point, if you're not an elite squatter and you don't have the stability and the ability to balance on the way down, you shouldn't be touching that kind of stuff. Like, you know, like that. That the reward is not worth the risk.
My immediate thoughts on that were the same thing. I thought it was going to go straight to the quads, and if he mentioned it alleviated knee pain, if it's putting more stress on the quads, I would think that would cause more knee pain.
Yeah.
Which just tells me maybe his quads were underdeveloped. In a practical sense, if he says, my knees feel better and I'm able to squat, go for it. Like, sometimes you just have to try things, but I will preface with saying, if you're not an elite lifter or you haven't been lifting for a long period of time, don't switch up the normal back squat because you should probably learn that one first.
Yeah.
There's no reason. If you're not extremely proficient in just a regular squat, there's other things to improve there before you go trying to make it fancy. And that goes as well for adding chains or bands or anything fancy to a squat. If you haven't been squatting for a long time, you should work on the basic movement first.
Yeah, I've never understood that. They're not content with doing simple, like the basic stuff. Like, they don't want that. You know, if me, 600-pound squatter, tells somebody that in order to get a bigger squat, they need to squat. Y'all kids don't want to hear that. Like, you want to add chains, you want to add bands, you want to do, like, reverse sissy squats with a kettlebell over your head. Whatever
looks good on Instagram.
Oh, it's really bad on bench press too, man. There's so many different damn variations there.
Especially what looks good on Instagram is a bar bending around your back. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, well, like if you don't bench press 225 pounds, why the hell are you doing like attaching plates to bands that are hanging from the sides of the barbell? You're not even strong. Anybody should be able to bench 225 after a year of training. Like, any guy, I would hope. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, you can get there without doing all this bullshit.
It took me a long time.
Well, yeah.
Am I a joke to you?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, but seriously, like, if you haven't figured out a nice progressive system, you know, like if you haven't...
The people doing the fancy shit are the ones who aren't on a program, and they don't know what they're doing next week on Tuesday at 5 p.m. when they hit the gym.
Okay, so let's just go straight into goal setting. If you haven't set a goal and then put an actionable plan to get there, then making your workouts fancy is not going to get you there.
If you're one of these people that are messaging me every day asking what's your favorite arm workout, like, I don't just pick one from a series of books. Like, I just repeat what I've done and try to progress upon it. That was totally...
I'll give you a hint. It's bicep curls.
I'll give you a hint. I don't train arms.
I know.
I actually do. I do. Today was a little bit of a pumpy day.
Lat pulls, seated rows.
Bent over rows and overhead press. There's your bicep and tricep day.
Speaking of which, I watched this man. I stopped by Iron House to kind of work out with the SFB crew. This man was doing, what is that, chest-supported bent over rows?
Oh, yeah, the T-bar rows.
Those things are beautiful. I wish I had one.
They're fun.
This man, like, puts the weight on, and the actual machine starts to kind of tip. They were having to, like, have somebody sit on the back, and I'm thinking in my head, man, he's just going heavy, like, and Jacob's just nice and solid. If you're on the podcast and you're not watching the video show, I'm giving a demonstration right now. Just all the way up,
he's pulling
pausing.
That bar so tender to his chest.
He's talking. He's looking over at Sam. You know, they're having, might as well should have just recorded a mindset moment. They're just sitting there talking workout philosophy. He's 20 reps in, then he, like, sets it back down. And he's like, all right, I'm warmed up. Like, all right. Cool.
It's pretty bad because I'll go in the gym and, like...
I'm out of my bodybuilding league.
I go in the gym and I don't really feel like I'm working that hard anymore because I just kind of, I know what I'm doing. Like, it's not like an intensity like, I'm going to kill you. Or, like, I'm going to, like, murder the weights today. It's just, like, I know what I need to do. I do it.
Yeah, but what's your goal?
Maintain.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like a maintain philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. I just want to keep,
Yeah. Your main goal right now is business, and touching as many fitness people in the industry as you can.
Oh, I'll touch a fitness person.
Oh, Jesus.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Training Talks with Steve and Jacob. Make sure you check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, and Instagram to stay up to date with the content that we're putting out. Stay tuned because this is going to be uploaded on YouTube as well. And we've got a lot of more things coming. So reach out to us if you have questions, if you have concerns.
If you guys have seen some of those, we've actually been talking to other people in the industry. Mm-hmm. We can do it over a video chat. If you guys are interested, you kind of want to chat with us and record it and for all to see, let us know.
Yeah, I would like to get some more training people on here, like coaches that are from out of the area. Anyway, have a great day. We love you. You're beautiful. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.